it's the next level.
You know, you don't need the discs. You can just download.
What do you want to watch next? Translucent Invisible Cock, Queen Maeve Pleasure Slave, Big Black Noir. Oh, Starlight pulls an H ring.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Different strokes, man.
Please don't say that in this context.
I should just get up and leave.
But I like watching Homebreaker fuck me. Don't you?
You know, this isn't healthy, man. You can't watch porn while the sun's out.
Look, if I get up at that hearing, I'm dead anyway. So what difference does it make?
Okay.
Drop the remote or I'll burn your fucking face off.
Hey, panelers, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this week, well, it's going to be a spoiler-filled episode of The Boys Season 2, Episode 7, Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker. So if you have not been watching The Boys Season 2, really, it's been out for a while, so I don't know why you're coming now at this point to listen to us. But if you haven't watched it, go back, watch the actual episode, come back to the podcast, and then listen. You know, this is going to be spoiler filled, so it's going to go all the way up into probably the last episode of the season 2. So, you know, Steve and I actually binge watched the whole complete season 2, and now we're discussing it episode by episode and might talk about what's going on in the next episode or the last episode at this point. So
it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, tonight we are covering The Boys Season 2, Episode 7, Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker. I think that's a cool, before I read the synopsis, I think that's a really cool title. I really like it. And I like when I heard other people's podcasts about this episode, everybody has like a different take on this poem and why this title stands out to them. Like for me, the first time I was ever exposed to this kind of rhyming scheme was the John le Carré novel, which is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but it's after the poem Tinker Tailor Soldier. I don't remember what the last one is on the actual, but it's a great John le Carré novel. But we're not talking about John le Carré or Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
but it's a good take on the words. And
Yeah,
the
exactly.
rhyming scheme.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this episode, our synopsis is: to help Victoria Newman make a case against Vought, Mallory and the boys look to an unlikely source for answers. Huey gets terrifying news about Starlight. Meanwhile, Homelander and Stormfront further their master plan for Compound V. I just get that master plan. That's a play on because she's Nazi, the whole master race thing, and we wouldn't have known it. That's good, IMDb.
Yeah.
That's a good. Whoever wrote these synopses was pretty
On point.
pretty good. Yeah, exactly.
They stayed on target.
Exactly.
So what were your general thoughts of overall for the episode?
You know, this episode is really setting us up for the final, but there's a lot of really cool stuff in here.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I'm excited to talk about. We learn so many things that we didn't know. We learned some new things about the boys. We learned some past things. We see
A lot about Mallory too.
We learn a lot about Mallory. We see, and I don't think I had this in my notes, so I'll mention it here.
Go
We
ahead.
see the beginning of the romance between Frenchie and Kimiko
Yes.
actually start to bloom here.
Yes, finally.
And then we're going to get more of it in the next episode, but I had totally forgotten about that until I watched it today, because they're out of the episode for so long. You know, Mallory sends them to watch over Victoria Newman because she's scared that some soup may try to kill her. And
it was during the protests and everything, or the gatherings that they had.
they're outside because they're outside Victoria Newman's house. And you know, that's that whole, like I said, it's not in my notes, so I'm going to bring it up here. That is a really cool scene where Frenchie looks across the the street there from where he's got that Gatling gun in case the suit shows up.
Yeah.
And he sees Victoria Newman taking care of her. I don't know if it's her mother or being a caregiver. And he makes
Yes.
that comment about, oh, that's so sweet that she's taking care of this woman. And I just thought, and then we get that very beautiful scene between him and Kimiko where she starts to teach him
Sign
language.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
what
on
about
top
you?
of that, he gets a smile out of her too.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, he
yeah.
tells that cool story about his mother and and why cooking is so important to him. And I
Yep.
do have the quote. I do have his Yervin Yolum quote later
Awesome.
in my notes. But what about you? What were your general thoughts as you watched this episode?
It was definitely eye-opening about Homelander and Stormfront, or Stormlander, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I'll just keep calling them Stormlander because apparently that's a relationship and I ship them.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, you see them coming together. They go see Ryan and, you know, his son at his and Ryan's mother's house, and he basically starts stirring up the pot within Ryan and the mother. And that is something that I knew was going to happen because we've been amping up to that point. And we don't see that until the final episode, which we talked about before we actually started podcasting because we got confused because we saw so much.
Right. Yeah.
But the thing is this is like the impetus. This is the start of what's going on within Ryan and Homelander or Stormfront and their collaboration of what's going on.
Yeah, it's the classic, you know, it's the classic estranged or divorced couple, and the one spouse brings around their new significant other. It's that classic. We get that classic scene.
You do see a little bit of human in Homelander at certain points, though. Within a scene, she's crying, he's showing empathy at certain points. So
you get a little bit of that. You get a little bit of a snide. There's the snide comment from Stormfront when she says, "Oh no, he will still have a mother," you know, and just Becca gives her that stare. But yeah, that's. I'm sure we'll get into some more of that when we get into our top fives.
Exactly, and we should go into our top fives right now.
Do you know? I can't remember the last time I had a good cup of cha.
Absolutely. So I'll start.
Yep.
My number 5 is just that cold open. I think you've got the same thing as yours. That you know, we hear Stormfront, all of her hateful rhetoric on these, and we see this guy. You know, and I don't know if he's one of her meme makers because he tells his mom, "I'm going to be late for school, not work."
Yeah.
But then we see him kind of doing these memes, so I'm not sure what was exactly going on.
I think he was a fan. Honestly,
maybe he was just a fan, yeah. But you know, it wasn't until this last watch or the when this rewatch here for this podcast that I noticed that it's the lights from a passing car that make the convenience store attendant's eyes light up. You can hear the car in the background as it's driving past, and then his eyes get that little
glare,
shimmer, that little shimmer kind of thing, and that's the guy, what the guy uses to as his reason for shooting him. And it's just a tragic, it's so tragic the way it happens. And you know, then Homelander is saying some of the same things at that rally. He just kind of repeats what Homelander repeats what Stormfront says, like everything she says, he just repeats it, and you see him buying into her hate. And it's not going to be until the next episode that he's going to realize where her hate is actually coming from, that it's not narcissism, that she actually is racist. I mean, he's just a narcissist.
Yeah, he's so self obsessed, and it's how he was brought up, and him feeling, you know, I think it has to be had to be due to the traits of him being brought up by doctors, and him being imbued with all this power and everything else. And we see that from the doctor's point of view of what he had to do, and that's the conversation that he has with Billy when Billy confronts him during this episode towards the end, which is maniacal too, if you think about it. And the thing is that, you know, we know that Homelander is, you know, basically he's a mess, and Stormfront's just using him. We all know this. but the fact is he has human qualities, whereas with Stormfront, she's more manipulative,
Mhm.
and she's in that whole Aryan, I want to destroy this,
Mhm.
or I want to be a Nazi this, and I
Right.
want the world to be obsessed with this.
Yeah.
And the thing is also with the guy you were talking about, where he shoots the clerk. Now, mind you, we see a snippet of his life and how it is daily, every day. And this is coming from my notes, so I'll eliminate that later. But you see that he was that kid or that guy, kisses his mother every day. He tells him, "Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that."
Mm-hmm.
But you see glimpses of in his room too. You see Soldier Boy's poster. You
Mm-hmm.
see a Funko Pop of like one of the soups. I think it was Maeve.
Stormfront. No,
It was
he's got a
Stormfront?
bunch of Stormfront. Yeah,
Okay.
Stormfront's the Funko Pop, and then he's got posters of her. Most of it was her, but there was a Soldier Boy one up
Yes.
there as well. But most of the stuff was Stormfront related.
Okay. So he is a fan, as we could tell. And with that whole thing with the shimmering in his eyes,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of similar to almost like Starlight, if you think
Mhm.
about it, because that's how Starlight is. Her eyes shimmer and give that yellow glow. So, and he was like a supporter of Soups. And at this point, he got to that point where he is like torn because he loved Soups. Now he's afraid of Soups because that's why he shot the clerk. Now it's kind of similar to what's going on nowadays with everything, because everybody's like, we see all this media, we see everything, we don't know what to know, we don't know what to think. A lot of people are confused, so they act out, and this is one of those forms of acting out in a wrong way, and it hurts somebody in the end. And then we see that whole little thing with Stormlander, both of them, Homelander and Stormfront, and they're doing the poses and saying we need more Soups and blah blah blah, and please don't do these things. And it's very interesting because it's a lot of manipulation within one episode, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
For sure. So did you read off your number 5? Did you get all your stuff?
Well, I just, honestly, it's just basically an interesting commentary in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
that reflects of what's going on now.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's all I got.
Yeah, it's a rough social. It is a bad image of what we have going on right now, and
Exactly.
and it's unfortunate.
Oddly enough, though, it was done before all this happened, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's funny how some of these writers are able to kind of look towards the future, and they or maybe it's just us reading into what they're writing. I don't know. It could be.
Yeah, I think it probably is me reading into it.
The whole media versus facts and truth, and the whole
exactly
is entertainment feeding real life, or is real life feeding entertainment? That's where you get that back and forth from.
Yeah, but I tend to think when I watch this show, though, is that I take it as it is, as entertainment.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is some truth to it from history, obviously, with how Stormfront is and her prejudice, but I take it as pretty much entertainment. So
yeah,
don't get confused, listeners.
Yeah. So my number 4 is John Noble. I was so excited to see John Noble in this episode playing Billy's father. I absolutely love John Noble. He was the father in the TV show Fringe that I loved for several seasons. He was great in that. He played Sherlock Holmes's father in Elementary, the Johnny, what's the actor's name? With Lucy Liu. Anyway, the Lucy Liu and the British Johnny Lee Hooker.
Oh, yes,
is it Johnny
he
Lee
was
Hooker?
in Hackers.
Yeah, is it Johnny Lee Hooker? Is that
no.
It's something like that.
It's Johnny Lee something. I know that.
It is. Okay. Anyway, he played Sherlock Holmes's father in Elementary for several years. It was really, really great, and I was so excited. I remember when the first time, way back when I watched the episode, and I was sending feedback to TV Podcast Industries, that I was so excited. I talked about John Noble. in that feedback, that scene between him and Carl Urban. I just love it.
Yeah.
And we find out how Lenny died. And I had to listen to that a couple of times to really understand what was going on, because what John Noble says is Billy says it was his father, it was your fault that Lenny killed himself. But then John Noble comes back and turns it around and says, no, it says you couldn't hack it, so you left. And it was when you left that Lenny couldn't take it anymore.
Wow.
And killed himself. So basically what his father is doing is he's doing that classic abusive person kind of thing where we put it back
passive
on them
aggressive
going, no, this is really your fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that
he's pushing the blame on to Billy.
Exactly. He's and it was really, because he's trying to take credit for Billy being tough, and he's like, you wouldn't have been able to do that. And so it's just a really powerful scene between the two of them. And I know we're probably not going to get any more scenes in the next season, because the mom said, he's leaving, he's only got a few months to live. So I'm assuming we won't see him again, but you never know. We might see him in season 3.
Well, maybe she was lying.
Could be.
Yeah.
And cancer is not an automatic thing. It sometimes takes years. They tell somebody they have months, and it actually takes years. I do love through the whole scene, I just kept waiting. I really thought Billy was just going to toss his father off the balcony. I mean, that would have been dark, but that's really what I thought was going to happen. So
that would have been funny.
Yeah, that's my number 4 is just Billy and his dad and John Noble, and being so excited to see John Noble, even if it's just a short cameo.
Well, yeah, mine's kind of like a weird one. My number 4 would be Lamplighter's obsession with the strange porn. He puts Huey through hell by watching it all the time. The soup porn titles were very funny, in my opinion. That Lamplighter didn't want to watch next, apparently. I'll give those titles out that he dictates, which was pretty funny. Translucent, the Invisible Cock. Or Queen Maeve, Pleasure Slave. Big Black Noir. And the last, Starlight Pulls an A-Train. Yeah, and that's really what gets like Huey going. He's like, all right.
Yeah, that's the one that Huey's like, no, we're not watching that.
Yeah,
we're definitely not watching that.
Yeah.
So.
And he goes, and the fact that he brings up, he goes, oh, you can get these online now. You don't even have to have discs.
Yeah, it's pretty funny scene. I like when I didn't put it in my notes, but when Lamplighter says, hey man, different strokes for different folks, and Huey's like, oh, please don't use that term in this context.
Yeah, that was one of my quotes that I love.
Oh, I'm sorry, I took
it's
that
okay.
from you.
No, it's okay, dude. I thought it was hilarious though.
It is.
Your number 3?
Yeah, my number 3 is it's a small point, but it was kind of, I read something either in the trivia or in the goofs that people are saying, because Stormfront says that Ryan is the first naturally born superhero. But the thing is, what the trivia I was reading kind of pointed out was that how could she really know that unless she's got her fingers in? But obviously, like, she had a daughter, so obviously her daughter must not have had superpowers.
Yeah, the ability, right? Exactly.
Right. And the thing is, it still could be true what she's saying, even if other soups had had children, because she didn't say anything until Homelander says Ryan has powers. And that's when Stormfront puts it together and realizes, oh, you're the first baby who's been born with superpowers, like
from a soup, though. Think about it.
Right.
But she was impregnated by a soup.
Right. But no, I get that. No, and that's the reason why he's super. But what I'm saying is the significance is he's not a baby that was injected with Compound V. Or an adult.
Was Annie injected with Compound V when she was in utero?
Yeah, I don't know if it's in utero or it's after they're born. They never really say that.
Yeah, because I was curious about that with Annie's mom,
They never really explain what age the child is injected, but I'm taking the assumption because of those babies that they saw in the first season. Remember when Billy was using the one with the laser eyes? that I think it's after the baby is born, Vought then approaches, or could be in utero. I don't know. They don't really tell us, but
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. And you can see, we talked about it a little bit already. You can see kind of the fear in Becca's eyes as they're talking to Ryan, and then especially when they come back and and he's all mad because they flew up and they showed him that he's
Yeah.
living in this compound where
Yeah,
everything is controlled.
He's got the Jim Carrey treatment with his
Yeah.
life, and
Yeah.
But the thing is, and that's my number 3 too, is for the fact that Stormlander and Stormfront and Homelander, I'm sorry,
Right.
taking Ryan off on his little getaway to look
Mhm.
at the actual compound, and then Stormfront says that Ryan, is naturally born a superpowered child, but the fact that Ryan is yelling at his mother after Stormlander, I keep using that name, but I'll still continue
No, that's
doing
okay.
it. They basically tell Ryan that he's being protected in this community, which the mother, or Billy's wife, actually states that, it's like she's trying to protect him. Give the Ryan the life that Homelander never got, and I think that's where we got that human element out of Homelander at that point. You could see the emotion in his face a little bit for that one moment.
Right, because you can see that he realizes that the only difference between him and Ryan is the fact that Ryan is growing up
with a mother,
but he's still being sheltered. He's still being controlled, just like Homelander was. And Billy had that, and I think I've got it later in my notes as well. Billy has that conversation with Dr. Vogelbaum when he asks Dr. Vogelbaum, what was Homelander like as a kid? And Vogelbaum basically says, well, he was just a regular kid. He liked these, he liked Manifest Destiny. He liked Davy Crockett stories. He liked to crawl up in my lap and be a little kid. And then I don't think I have it in my notes, but that classic moment where you can see that shift in Billy when Vogelbaum says, then I went to work on him.
Yeah, he had to turn it basically to.
Yeah, Vogelbaum made Homelander the monster that he is today. Now that doesn't excuse Homelander.
Oh no.
Okay, but it's I think there's this moment when Billy realizes that in his own way, Homelander had an abusive
father.
An abusive father, or grew up
father figure.
Yeah, in this abusive relationship, just like he did.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different, but yeah. So it's tragic that you find out that Homelander could have grown up as a regular kid, as a and not been this way. But anyway, and so now we don't know. We know that at the end of the last episode, we know that Ryan is going to go off with Mallory. And we don't know how he's going to be raised at that point. Is he going to be raised as Mallory's kid? Is she going to, I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Season 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Your number 2?
My number 2 is, and I just already kind of started talking about it, that fact that Billy kind of identified with Homelander there and his abusive upbringing. And, but we do see that cold side of Billy again when he's threatening to kill Vogelbaum's whole family. And then I had to look it up because I was confused when the wife gives him the tea and he says a cup of char. And I didn't know what that was, and I had to Google it and look it up. And what it is in the 19th century, when the British were in control of India, the word for tea in Hindi is very similar to char, and so that's where some British started calling it a cup of char instead of a cup of tea.
Yeah, because it was a different version of tea at that point.
Yeah, it may have been, or it's just that was the Hindi word. I find it interesting that it depends on how he grew up, why he.
It's very discriminative. Basically, it discriminates between English tea and Indian tea. That's literally what it is.
Okay, that's not what, but the Wikipedia entry just said it was a similar word.
It was similar, yeah, but I'm telling you that's what it is.
Oh,
It's very discriminative. I actually looked into this and I found out about it, and yeah, it is. It's kind of like discriminating against something that's different.
Okay.
If you think about it, with what the doctor hands him and what he's used to, so Billy's used to typical English tea or American tea at that, which is acceptable, whereas Indian tea at that point back in whatever it was, whatever age,
Yeah, the 19th century. Yeah.
Yeah,
1800s.
yeah, 1800s. So that was imported, and it was not heralded as
Okay.
highly as English tea, true
Okay.
English tea. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's just more of Billy kind of showing the darker side, his harsher kind of side.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
it's him being vicious, literally,
Yeah.
verbally at that point.
All right. So what's your number 2?
My number 2, that would be Ashley finding Maeve and a guy in bed together and being shocked at the same time. Leslie left Maeve, and she just needed something at that time, I guess.
Yeah,
So-
Elena, she saw that video of the
Yeah.
child and she was so horrified. She said,
Was
"I'm
it
going to-"
Elena or Leslie? I forget.
Elena is her name.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Elena's her name. She saw that video and she said, "I'm going to my sister's." So
Yeah. Yeah, and then Ashley is upset because it disrupts Vaught's idea of the perfect lesbian couple, you know.
yeah, the whole thing about they're trying to promote that they're a typical lesbian couple that and trying to appeal to the more conservative people who kind of accept that lifestyle but don't want to know all the parts of that lifestyle kind of thing.
Yeah.
is what it is. But it is a cool scene too, because you have that moment where Maeve looks at Ashley and just tells her, just be a human. Could you just, I've lost my girlfriend. I'm using this as a distraction. Just be kind for a moment. And Ashley does. She has a moment of being kind, but then she's still got to be the PR person. So.
And Minifee actually brings it out too when she acts that way too.
Yeah, it was a really good scene.
Yeah.
So my number 1 is just that whole trial, and I watched that scene several times, and it's obvious that Vogelbaum had to be the primary target, but it's taken me a while to sort it out. And like I said, I've watched the scene several times, and we're making this assumption that Victoria Newman has to have some sort of line of sight or direct eye contact with the person that she's going to pop the head. And so in this scene, she's definitely looking straight at that prosecutor when his head pops. And then for most of the scene, we don't see where she's looking when someone's head explodes, except for the moment when Ashley or whoever it was pulling her away, and there's one of those aides, and you see her turn her head, and that's when the aide's head pops. So, and I remember watching a YouTube video several weeks ago or a couple months ago where they tried to claim that there's a moment in the scene when her eyes cloud over like they did in the final episode, but I didn't catch that anywhere. So I think it's still, when in the initial watch of this, we're still not meant to even suspect that Victoria Newman is the person doing this. I think anyway, that's the impression I'm getting.
Yeah. Well, that would lead me to my number 1, which is very similar, but I'll go into my first point of my number 1, which would be Billy's threat to the doctor that created and raised Homelander. Vogelbaum, exactly.
Yeah.
Killing his daughters, sons, his sons' wives, and kids. Billy wanted that information so bad that he went so extreme.
Yeah.
And it was such a sinister scene.
Mm-hmm.
That it was the one thing that Mallory couldn't get from the doctor or Vogelbaum at that point, but Billy was able to get.
Yeah.
And then that ending within the courtroom scene where everybody's heads just started popping like you going crazy as a 13-year-old popping zits. It's just like, wow. We were like,
it's
pop,
gruesome.
pop,
That
pop.
is
It was gruesome.
Yeah, and people are slipping in the blood and they're falling in it, and it's just
yeah.
Yeah,
it kind of reminded me of what was that Game of Thrones episode? Where
the
died?
Red Wedding.
The Red Wedding.
Yeah. There's a lot of blood, of blood. But yeah, that whole thing, it's still, haven't worked it all out. That it's still a little confusing to me, and we'll talk about it probably when we do the next episode.
Yeah,
is just trying to understand Victoria Newman's in game, or who she really works for, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it seems that she's utilizing her power to gain strength in her political career and what she needs to do.
Yeah. So got a couple of notes.
We got a bunch of notes.
Yeah, I'll do my first one because my first one
Go ahead.
is part of what we were talking about with Victoria Newman in the previously on. Again, this is one of those things that as we're looking back on it,
Mhm.
didn't even think about it when we initially watched the series, but now looking back on it, we see how important it is. The fact that we get in the previously on, we see Raynor's head exploding, and then it goes right to, just like it did in that episode when Raynor's head exploded, it goes right to Congressman Newman at the rally. I just thought, as I saw it, I watched it every time I saw the previously on, I was like, man, we just didn't see it, but we weren't
Yeah.
meant to see it. I'm not kicking myself too badly about it because, like I said, we weren't meant to see it. So.
That is true. Well, my first one would be Annie and her mom talking in the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a truth that needed to come out. Her mom feeling sorry about what she had done to Annie, and Annie tried to explain to her own mother that what Vought was actually doing all along.
Mm-hmm.
Then that attack from Vought and Black Noir knocking Annie out. And I think you have something about that.
I
too.
did. I love that. It wasn't until this last rewatch that I noticed that it's not just a stanchion that he hits her with. It's the "please wait to be seated" stanchion that he's hitting her with. Because you can.
Meanwhile, she's already seated.
If you pause it, you can just barely make out that the sign says "wait to be seated" or something like that. So I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah,
That is cool.
we also see a statue of Soldier Boy at that Homelander Stormfront rally. That's again the foreshadowing of seeing Soldier Boy in the next season.
That is true. Yep. And Lamplighter talking about being a prodigy and lighting his first flame at age 4. He feels that he is going to die if he goes on that jury. And he feels like the cuck in the porn movie.
Yeah.
Then he explains to Huey that Huey is useless. And Huey thinks he's the cuck.
Yeah.
But then Lamplighter states that Huey is the cuck fluffer.
Yeah. You're even worse. Yeah, you're even worse. You're not even the cuck. You're the cuck. When do you think I think I saw you have this in your notes as well, so we can talk about it here. When do you think Lamplighter made up his mind that he was going to commit suicide there in front of his statue?
I think it was while he was watching porn.
It had to be right. It had to be in those moments when Huey said, "Let's go," because at first, remember, Lamplighter is saying, "No, I'm not going to take you there," and then all of a sudden, Lamplighter changes his mind and says, "Okay, let's go." So yeah, it must have been in that he's working out in that process of going, you know what, I can get out of all of this and just go,
suicide myself and
make a
just do
statement.
it. Yeah, make a statement in front of the actual statues.
Okay,
yeah, I got you. Yeah, I thought that right away. And I just find it funny how Huey actually uses his hand, but to get around.
Just another one of those dark where I didn't notice it again until this rewatch.
That's a movie trope. They've used that before. Come on,
have they? Of cutting somebody's hand off?
Yeah, cutting their hand off, their thumb.
Oh yeah. You're right. But it's just the way he did it, because it's funny because he actually gets up and he tries to walk away, and then you see him stop at the door and go, "Oh, I need the hand."
Exactly.
And then he spends like several minutes trying to figure out how, because he couldn't get it until the sprinklers turned off, and then he has to break that bottle and he's sawing the hand off, and it's just the whole scene it's hilarious.
It's kind of out of like a comical horror movie, It's like he has to cut it with the broken bottle and everything to get it off.
Exactly. I like that Mallory offered to send Mother's Milk and his family to Nicaragua, and he actually at first he says, "I'll take you up on that after this is over," but she says, no, it's got to be now. You've got to understand that something good's got to come out of this. And you can see that Mallory really has kind of a defeatist attitude to her. She doesn't think this is all going to work out. She thinks, because she doesn't know that Billy has gotten Vogelbaum to testify.
Yeah, exactly.
She just thinks they have nothing, and she's like, "Look, I want to get you out of this and get you safe."
She's concerned, and it shows what a good person that she is too.
Yeah, and Mother's Milk just doesn't take it because the fight's just too important.
And we found out his real name is Marvin.
Well, they've used that. They've said that before.
I know, but in my opinion, that was the first time I actually heard it. So to me, it was news to me. So
okay, yeah. I think I've heard them say that before, but you could be right. Yeah. So
I have one more, a couple more actually. The Deep and A Train at the party Was it his?
Mhm.
Was it the Deep's wedding or was it somebody's birthday party? I'm thinking it was Deep's wedding party.
It was either Deep's like the reception
Yes.
after the wedding, or it was some kind of I think so, but it's a little it's not totally clear what party they're at. They're just kind of having it's just a party they're
Yeah,
having.
and then A-Train gives the Deep a fish in a fishbowl, and the
Yeah.
fish knows the Deep's name, so
It knows my name.
He knows my name, and he's all happy about it. And A-Train gave him something and basically apologized for being a jerk to him, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
We're really seeing. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying that we're starting to see a lot of these soups that were crazed or doing all these bad things coming around to some degree.
Yeah,
And being a little bit more human,
We're gonna see. We're gonna see Deep kind of revert in the last episode, but there's definitely some growth out of A-Train here that he's starting to realize being out of the 7. But I also wonder if in season 3
Mhm.
it's gonna that kind of arrogance is gonna come back, because now he's back in the 7. I don't
Hmm.
remember exactly how he reacts in the last episode to being.
Yeah,
to being back
we'll have to
in,
go back
so-
to that. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're gonna cover that, but I don't
I
remember.
didn't catch it. I didn't catch it until this episode that it's so Lamplighter's suicide causes the sprinklers to come on,
Mhm.
causes the building to go into some kind of an emergency thing, and that turns on the light
That
in
gives
or outside of Starlight's cell,
and gives
that
Annie
gives-
power, and
and she's able to draw power from it and then escape the cell. I didn't realize that until this watch. It's okay. now I
yeah.
get it.
That was my last note. Is that it's basically Lamplighter's suicide that actually gives Annie the way to escape and then find
Yeah.
Huey and find her mom and get out. And I just love that scene with Huey and her mom, and she goes, "Weren't you at that meeting of I believe?"
The believe rally. Yeah, that's funny. Hey, Mrs. January, where's Andy? I thought that was great. I and a couple more quick ones. We get the Black Noir's tree nut allergy.
Oh
is-
yeah, that
is
was amazing.
revealed
And he
here.
lifted his mask a little bit. Maeve actually.
No, Maeve, Maeve pulled his mask up. So Maeve comes up behind him,
Mhm.
and this tells us how strong Maeve is.
Mhm.
If we didn't know before, she grabs him from behind and basically holds him with one arm, and then pulls his mask up with the other arm and shoves that candy bar in his mouth. And I remember, I think it was TV Podcast Industries podcast where one of their listeners sent in a feedback explaining that a tree nut allergy is much worse than just a normal peanut
I believe it. Yeah,
allergy.
yeah, it is
and that it's much more dangerous. It's much more
stronger.
So that's why, it's and so that's interesting. We get Eagle the Archer's kind of fall from grace, and of course he gets his head popped there in the
Oh, he does.
in,
Yeah,
in
the
the courtroom. And that's a funny scene when they're watching on the TV and you see Deep kind of put his hands on his head to make sure his head is still there. And
I know.
it's
affiliated
hilarious.
with all those people, so he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh no!"
Exactly. And no Billy Joel again. I think we don't have Billy Joel at all for the rest of the season. I think once they closed out that thread with explaining why.
I think we get one.
Do you think so in the last
I
episode?
think,
Maybe we
if I
do.
remember properly, I
Okay,
could
we'll
be
see.
wrong, but I
We
think
might.
we get one Billy Joel song at the very end.
Okay, cool. We'll watch for it. But I was just the last couple episodes we haven't had any Billy Joel. So
Yeah, but I think it comes around in the end. That's why
Okay.
I was thinking and remembering it for the fact
Okay.
that it was Huey's thing, and that's how it comes around, and that's
Yeah.
how we started, and then that's how we end. So
yeah,
but we have a few quotes.
I got a couple little quotes here.
Yeah.
Go do yours first.
Well, I have one from Lamplighter saying, "Okay, different strokes, man." And then Huey's like, "Please don't say that in this context." After Lamplighter goes through the porn movies he doesn't want to watch. You already spoke about it, but I thought it was so hilarious.
One of the first ones I've got here is when they're in Victoria Newman's house and they're talking about trying to find a way to bring down Vought, and she says, "Oh, come on, you're not the first person to call me a cunt, Mr. Butcher. I'm starting to think of it as a badge of honor." And I think he replies something like, "In my family, it's a term of endearment."
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Well, I think that's where Billy actually felt like, "Oh, okay, I could trust this lady."
yeah, I can work with her. Yeah.
And the last one I would have would be Frenchie saying, "Cooking is a way of putting a port in the storm." And when he talks to, Timiko, and she
Yeah.
understands it and smiles. The smile that really got
Yeah.
me. And he is learning a little bit of the sign language that we talked about earlier, and they were scoping out the people during those protests. And
Yeah, I talked about it last week. That actress is so good at with her face. Just
yeah,
you know,
facial
that's
expressions are
is
make so much.
really. And then I talked about it earlier, but that quote is it's Frenchy, and he says Irving Yalom. He once said, "You die twice. Once when you stop breathing, and again when somebody utters your name for the last time." And I did look it up.
Wow.
Irvin Yalom. He was considered an existential psychiatrist,
Hmm.
and I don't remember what years he lived, but he wrote a lot about therapy and counseling and death and that kind of thing. There's a lot of quotes. You can look him up. There's a whole lot of quotes out there from him. I could not find that exact quote, but there were definitely very similar things to that. So,
Awesome.
and then just the last one is that was that an almond joy from Starlight? We already
Yeah,
talked about
exactly.
that.
Because wasn't that one of the candy bars that
That
he
was one of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the worst candy bars in the world. Bit of honey, almond joy, and Charleston chew. And she's like, "Those are my favorites." He's like, "Oh my goodness." So yeah,
All right. Well, I think we're kind of finished
no
with
feedback.
quotes, but
Yeah.
yeah, we had no feedback. I looked, and no email, no feedback in Facebook, no voicemail, no nothing. So, yeah, guys, if you're really interested and you want to send out some feedback, do so, please. But with that, we're just going to continue on and go into comic news, which I kind of delved in because I kind of neglected, honestly, for the past 2 weeks. But a lot of this is pretty cool stuff. So, first off, Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina are slated to reprise their roles in an MCU movie. Molina as Doc Ock, again from the Tobey Maguire series and Spider-Man and all those Spider-Man movies, and Fox as Electro in the next Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness movie. So basically, we're going to get a split. So with, I think Molina is going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, and then Fox is going to be in the Multiverse of Madness at this point, and they're signed. Everything is a done deal. So that's going to be amazing because now I'm starting to think they're really queuing Spider-Man now to be dealing with the Sinister Six. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm really amped up for this one.
Very cool.
And the next bit of news would be Black Panther 2 is basically scheduled to start filming in July of 2021. So now they plan on having two Black Panthers in this movie to replace T'Challa. So basically they're just gonna I'm hoping that they write him off in the very beginning. They don't show anything or explain anything, but the fact that T'Challa is gone, he's not here because we don't have Boseman anymore as Black Panther anymore. He passed away because of cancer. And, we have one female, which I think is going to be Shuri, which is T'Challa's sister in the series. And the other is supposed to be male, which I have no clue as to who they would get. So we're going to
Yeah.
get two Black Panthers. So,
Interesting.
yeah, Black Panther 2, you get two Black Panthers. And they were talking about somebody else who is more of a Hispanic kind of actor that's going to play a villain, but couldn't get much on it. But I'm really thinking that, honestly, it should be Namor or Namor, as you would call him in the comics. And we got that inkling in Endgame at that point when, what was it, Denai Guerrera?
They were talking about the underwater earthquakes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
with that, Denai Guerrera's character was saying that to Nat or Black Widow, which I'm anticipating to everybody. So there are talks regarding Black Widow come December 10th in Disney, apparently. So keep your eyes and ears open if you're on YouTube or whatever, or in the mainstream media. Just check it out too, because we might get Black Widow going to streaming purposes. We're already getting Wonder Woman on Christmas Day on streaming. So, check that out. So you could actually watch it at home, because they're trying to push this out, because with everything that's going on, nobody's going to the movies. Everybody's pretty much renting out a theater for their own home purpose to get people together. And I do enjoy that point. But the thing is that there's only so many old movies that you could watch. And we're anticipating all these movies. And if they have to go to streaming, they have to go to streaming. It's going to be a loss. But, these are the days of our times. This is what's happening. So hopefully we get all these movies and everything and, get to enjoy them.
Yep.
So
yeah, the future is coming. It's going to happen.
yeah, I definitely want it. I need it now.
Well, it's going to be a little while. I think we're
No. I'm going to be like Freddie Mercury. I want it now.
Okay. You can keep wanting it. Keep wanting it. My only podcast recommendation this week is just Strange Indeed will be wrapping up their Great British Bake Off this week. Plus, I think this is they'll be doing the second to the last Haunting of Bly Manor episode this week. So
awesome. I got to send feedback. Damn.
Next week will be their final episode of that. And so I definitely promote Strange Indeed on the Podcastica Network and all of the stuff that they do. And of course, who knows where they're going next.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't suggest any more. Run for Your Lives with Daphne and Paik. So they're killing it with their coverage of all disaster, big monster movies and everything else. I think the last episode I listened to is Thanksgiving. Now, mind you, that movie was bad. Yes, it was bad. And I'm a person that will say, even though I like bad movies, it was bad. But I had fun watching it again, just for the fun of it. And I think you sent feedback, but you didn't watch the movie.
I did. I didn't watch the movie. I just sent Thanksgiving feedback. And then this week, of course, by the time this comes out, they'll already have released The Day After Tomorrow is their next one.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty good movie, too.
It's all right.
I'm saying it's pretty good. I didn't say it was a great or stupendous. It was good.
You're entitled to your opinion. I'm not telling you.
It had
wrong.
Dennis Quaid in it. Come on, he's amazing.
It did have Dennis Quaid. It had Celia Ward. It had a lot of good actors in there. It just well, if you listen to Run for Your Lives podcast, if you haven't already, by the time this comes out, it should be available for you on the Pirate Core Entertainment
Network. Yep.
Network. Thank you. So Run for Your Lives podcast with Daphne and Paik.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last one I would have would be Jason and Lucy on the Walking Dead cast with the coverage of the Walking Dead World Beyond. Well, now since Fear the Walking Dead is in its mid-season hiatus, we're not going to get anything for a while. So all we have is World Beyond. So check that out. Check out what Lucy and Jason have to say. And I know that Jason is not a fan of World Beyond. Oh no! Actually, he's not a fan of Fear. Actually,
Fear. Yeah, they've kind of gone back and forth. This
exactly.
Season, I think they've finally settled on World Beyond is better than Fear. I think that's what the final analysis is going to be.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong. Both shows are not great, but World Beyond is definitely better than Fear.
Wow.
Especially since we only got 2 episodes of John Dory in this first half. So
that is true. Yeah. Anyway. John Dory is the hero. Better than Morgan at this point, I think.
All right. Well, let's do some housekeeping issues here.
Sure.
We do love to get feedback from our listeners. We would love to hear what your thoughts are on the final episode of The Boys Season 2, which is entitled What I Know. So send that to us. And there's various ways you can get that feedback to us. You can send that you can go to our website, which is panels2pixelspodcast.com. Panels to Pixels Podcast, all spelled out there. I could do it alphanumerically for you or under alpha, but I'm not going to do it. But yeah, panels2pixelspodcast.com. That'll redirect you to our Facebook page where you can leave feedback for us. And that's facebook.com/panels2pixels. You can email us at panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels2pixels1. The TO is spelled out right there in the middle and the number 1 @gmail.com. You can call us and leave a message. It is 845-350-2095. I gotta look up the letters for those and see if there's something cool.
That'd be fun.
Cool words we can make.
Hopefully
out of that.
they're not dirty.
And again, that's 845-350-2095. You can also find us on YouTube at Panels to Pixels Podcast. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, and let us know there what you think, because you can leave comments there as well. We'll check those out too. We are on any podcast player of choice that's out there. I don't know which one you're listening to us on. I use iTunes, but that's because I'm an Apple guy.
There you go.
You know,
you got Google Play, Spotify,
Yeah,
And then
Weezer. What is it? Weezer, Geezer.
Deezer is another, but
Deezer.
right now, currently, we're on Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts,
There you
and
go.
Amazon Music as well. So check
Perfect.
us out there on those particular apps.
But again, as I said, next week we will be doing the final episode, and hopefully next week we will narrow down what we're going to do next. Mark and I have got some thoughts, but if you have any thoughts on what you think we should
Yeah,
cover
send
next,
us, send them to us our way. That would be amazing. I love the idea of you guys interacting.
exactly. So, Mark, where can our listeners hear you?
Well, I can be found right here on Panels of Pixels, as well as sending out audio feedback to other podcasts that I love that my friends do. So you can also hear me on my other podcast, which would be Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. So that podcast concentrates on pretty much adventure films, action films, thriller films, anything that gets your adrenaline going. So with that, we cover different movies every week. You've been on there. Our friends have been on. Wendy has been on there. Ben Beck, who's on the Next Level Podcast Network, is on there. So, there's a whole bunch of things. So this week we're going to be doing the movie Alien, and I have our friend Wendy going to come on. So we're covering 1979's Alien with Sigourney Weaver.
Excellent.
And that's what I'm doing next.
And me, I love watching TV, probably too much, but I send voicemails to various podcasts of our friends, and so you can hear my voice on that. Can't wait. We are coming to, because we're getting into the holiday season, so we're kind of getting shows on hiatus. We got some other things starting up, but definitely after the first of the year, I think we're going to have some more new content coming out from various places. So you'll hear my voice on those as well.
Definitely. And keep in mind, listeners, I apologize if a lot of these episodes are coming out a little bit later. I work in retail services, so it's kind of hard.
Year for you.
Yeah, it's that time of the year for me. So it's kind of hard for me to edit and do 2 podcasts, or if not 3, depending on what I'm on. So it's hard to edit and do everything in between. So thank you for being patient and listening when you can. So with that, thanks everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels. And we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night.